This is a committee that has been tasked with, we're on new business to be here. This committee has been formed by the City Council to understand the feasibility of what an amphitheater would look like in San Clemente. And it's a little bit ambiguous. It's a very broad, sweeping statement. So I would think that this committee has the opportunity to mold that direction however we want to best put forward our next steps to council. So that could be, first thing that comes to mind, obviously we talk about location. And then based on that location, who are we serving? What's the usage going to be year round? All of those things that will go into potentially building an amphitheater. And then we'll want to consider costs as well. We're probably not going to have definitive costs, but we're going to have a general idea of costs, and that would be costs for construction and costs for operations and costs for ongoing maintenance. I think sprinkled with all of that, when we talk about costs, we can talk about is there a partnership ability? Is there a private public funding potential somewhere? Or are we gonna, is there a want to look at getting a foundation involved or another nonprofit involved? So those are all things I think we can hash out at the committee level, and then potentially provide a recommendation to council. And this is the brainstorm. These were the efforts that were put in. This is the recommendation going forward. And so that's where I'm at. The want would be today to talk about a work plan. What are our next steps from here? We need to bring something back to council. We're about 60 days or so out to bringing something back to council. That was their last direction, I think, at the June meeting. So we can also, as you see in the agenda item after that, we'll talk about a future meeting schedule, however frequently we want to meet. But I think that with that, I'll turn the floor over to all of you. And for the minutes, I'm going to note that committee member Ferguson is absent, and if she comes back in, we will make note of that as well. So, any thoughts on how we move forward? Is there
I have a question.
Yes.
So I'm Kirsten McCleary. I'm the high school drama teacher, and we have been doing our shows outside.
Okay.
That's sort of how it all sort of began, right? It was just like, we know that there were some discussions of a smaller amphitheater, and then I know that some of the city council members came and saw the shows, and the community loved them out there and everything. But I also know, so in my experience, and from what some of the meetings I went to leading up to this, neighbors and people get upset about noise, right? So I know that was a concern when we were discussing before. So I just didn't know, like, is the city wanting specifically an amphitheater, or would they consider a performing arts center for, like, the city of the community, you know?
Yeah,
it's indoors.
It's a great question. Sure. No, I think that's a very poignant question. That is, I think, what this committee has been tasked to do. If we're looking at supporting performing arts, maybe that's a better direction. That could be at the end of this process. Maybe that's the final recommendation, that an amphitheater, given the impacts on surrounding neighbors and environment,
I love the outdoor stuff. I love that, and I know it's like we have this beautiful place we live, and the weather, and there's so many wonderful things in the summertime with the concerts we can do outside. There's so many wonderful things to do outside, but I also know that it impacts neighbors, and and people are concerned about that. You know, so it's just a thought, like, would the city be in support of maybe like partnering with, because the high school desperately, I can think of so many performing arts organizations that would partner, like they're desperate for a performing arts center in our San Clemente area. Desperate. I mean, even just the Dana Point and stuff like that, like the Dana Point Symphony and stuff. So anyway, that was just a thought on my brain that I wanted to bring up.
I think it's a good thing to look at. Absolutely. Does anybody else have thoughts on maybe also considering an indoor space?
I was just talking with someone. I was just talking with someone who has the listing on the Kirkorian.
Okay.
And so it came to mind that space has been sitting there for a long time, and I'm not sure the status of it. I think it's up for lease. But when you pointed that out, that thought came across my mind as well. I volunteered at the high school, so I'm here as like a resident, and I was volunteering at the high school. And when I was involved when it was during COVID when Kirsty took the students outdoors, and my son happened to be involved on the sound. He did the sound production so I was involved just as a parent volunteer, and I just witnessed the hundreds of people that would come to these shows every night, and I was flabbergasted at how popular they were. But then when I saw the quality, I was not surprised. I mean, like 500 people a night for 6-7 shows. It was incredible, right? So, but what came to mind is the noise, but also the outdoor space that we had for the high school, which is up on the upper campus. It didn't allow space for the kids to have any room for like changing. I mean, they had like portables, but not like the facilities that if you're going to put an amphitheater together, you want to support like, you know, the backstage
you would need
support or whatever that is. And I'm not a theater person, that's why you're here. But I noticed like it might be like a cold night and the kids, you know, maybe they didn't have the proper facilities to support that. So I think it's interesting. It would be interesting to explore looking at the outdoor amphitheater and then maybe looking at indoor options
costs
as well.
and I know use and you know.
Well, there's some underutilized spaces in San Clemente for performing arts. Certainly the Kokorian. Jim Wynn has the listing on that.
That was Jim I was talking about.
Jim Wynn has the listing on that. And don't faint, but the Miramar, you know, is
what's going on there?
Well, they're trying to get through refinancing.
Oh, because that's such a great idea. I was really excited about it, like the eating like areas and the
so I mean that's certainly an opportunity, you know, down the road. When I was on the council, we had formed this original amphitheater. It died because it wasn't a committee. It was a group of residents, independent residents. They could not find financing or any contributions or with that at all. And that's something for us to think about, because we could go through all this process and there'd be nothing there as far as funding. So, we have to consider that.
So yes,
this is expensive. These things are expensive.
Right.
These are not cheap. If you're going to do something, for example, at La Plata, that has to be initially taken. That was city surplus land. It has to be put out to bid for low-income housing.
Is that the place above Target? Sorry, I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
and so, but that would be the most expensive because that's something that would be started from scratch, from grading, construction, parking. I mean, that's very expensive. Then but they died in the vine because they couldn't get any type of funding.
You want to be cognizant of open space as well. We want to be mindful of when we're choosing to develop open space.
Because that needs to go to a vote of the people.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then of course there's Linda Lane, surrounded by residents. Yeah. Limited parking.
Yep.
And that would have been like just a smaller type of an amphitheater.
Very small. Very small. And then of course Steed Park. Now I don't know what the status of Steed Park is now with the pickleball. Is that a possibility?
Wait, where is that one?
Steed Park?
So Steed's at the very end of La Plata. Yeah, if you go all the way down to La Plata near the dog park.
That way.
That
way. Got it.
Yeah.
I was picturing. Okay.
Yeah, so Steed we just approved and adopted the master plan update for that, and an amphitheater didn't come up as a want or a need within our surveying. I think there was a conversation originally about an amphitheater back there, but it also got mixed feedback from, this was kind of the early days of building out Steed Park. It got mixed feedback from some of those residents of, I don't know that we want an amphitheater back here, potentially because of noise, and that is situated in a business park. So, to your point, that's it did come up. I don't know that there's a space for it right now at Steed Park, given the lots of moving pieces back there.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah,
No,
there's a lot back there.
No, I support what Wayne was saying regarding the open space, and that is a concern as far as, Measure B, and then also what that brings up as far as any potential toll roads, and
Right.
that's
Sure.
a concern, and that will have resistance from the community. I think the partnership, I think that's a really good idea, partnerships with the St. Cloud High School and also Cabrillo Playhouse. I don't know what has been going on with that, Wayne. I don't know, but that is
I know they're wanting. My son was just in a show there this weekend, so I was talking with Michael Lopez, the artistic director, and they're always wanting to make improvements, and I'm sure that they would love to. I mean, that's Little House Theater has been there. He said 70 years.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
It's
that's a really neat
space.
tradition for San Clemente.
Yeah.
But it's also has its limitations. The roof is, they're trying to raise money to raise the roof, and so I wonder if maybe they would want to partner and do something bigger.
They're pretty protective of the Cabrillo.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I understand it's 70
Yeah.
years in the community. That's a really
Yeah.
special thing, and it's such a special little place. Anyway, I understand that,
Yeah.
What about any space over at the sports park? Over across from Target, there's a few of those lots over there. I'm not sure.
So,
That could be a
I
possibility.
can speak to that. There is one lot that's right now going through negotiations for mini golf. We're working to develop that it's a little over an acre.
Okay.
With a private entity. They're working on the lease for that space. Next to that is, it's almost, if you're, where the solar panels are, right above Courtney Sandcastle, it's almost a perfectly square space.
Yes.
That is, it's master planned to be an indoor gymnasium. When we built that park, it was meant to be done in phases ultimately because of the costs, but the city was also really concerned about ongoing maintenance costs as well, so they paused all of that. The gymnasium is a need based on our recent master plan surveys that we should have an indoor gymnasium. Yes, there's one at the Boys and Girls Club, but that's not necessarily always publicly accessible. So that's those pieces of land, and then there's obviously the large meadows where the carnival is held in the fall. Those are planned for soccer fields, which in the world of recreation, we can never have enough soccer fields.
Right.
We are certainly constantly compressed with usage on soccer fields. And then across the road from that is another empty lot, and that is, once they redid the master plan for this leased area, that kind of landed to be a community center and picnic kind of scenic overview space. And the thought and the need being there should be a community center on this side of town. Our current community center serves obviously the folks on that side of the freeway, but with Talega being here, there should be more of a service as well. And then the other piece of land is the La Pata corner lot that council went through a lot of efforts and motions recently and considered the usage, leasing that or selling it, and then it ended up going nowhere. So also still a vacant parcel of land.
So when I grew up, there was a similar type of a complex, right? And it had the sports, and it had the rec center, and it had the community center. And part of the community center, inside of it was a stage. And you know how the community center down in San Clemente, downtown, has a little tiny stage. So it was just kind of like that, but it was just more functional, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be something that they could consider, if they do consider building a community center, making part of that be a workable performing arts space.
Okay.
Because I know that there are lots of private organizations that would rent it. Like, I feel like the city could get income from it, and I know, it's like, because we can't say, San Clemente does not have, we have the training center, but it's just hardly usable. But we do the best we can. But we would love to rent a space like that. We can't even, if we want to use Swan Hills Theater, we still have to rent it. Does that make sense? So
It does, yeah.
it would be kind of nice to have something in our own space from the high school that we can say
Right.
we're still in San Clemente. You know, we don't want to have to send it out to the to another city. That's just a thought. Like if
Yeah.
they were to do that, I don't know. Or if you wanted an outdoor space, that would be kind of fun because it just incorporates that whole recreation spot.
Yeah.
Correct. And I was at San Juan. I was at actually looking into their Crown Valley Community Center outdoor spaces, and I saw the amphitheater there, and they have like 80 bands per year. But when I went walking on there, that grade is pretty steep, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. Luckily, I was wearing sandals because I'm thinking that's really a steep grade for anybody, and I've had some health issues. I'm thinking, oh no, I would rather be down below.
Right.
But then San Juan Capistrano has their historic park, and it's where the green space is pretty. It's pretty level, but then there's a little, like maybe 2 feet or 3 feet above where it looks like a pseudo stage area for outdoor. So I mean, there's a lot to think about that, but incorporating indoor in the community center, just like we have down on Del Mar, that really is a use of space. If that's something that's going to already be in the plans,
Right.
then it's nothing like reinventing something that could be already be done.
I mean, is there a possibility to do both? To have an because I'm thinking, I'm just thinking of the high school shows, the number of people that would attend, right? So whatever is explored, we need to think about, okay, are we going to have 100 people or are we going to have 600 people, right?
Yeah.
So where is the need? And maybe there's a possibility to explore an indoor option and then maybe like a smaller outdoor option or something like that. I don't know.
Have you ever been to Moonlight Amphitheater down there in Vista?
No, I
That's
haven't.
our dream.
Right, Susie?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we did a little study on it, before, and anyway, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
But it's an
Okay.
outdoor space, and it seats hundreds of people. We know that that's probably not, feasible in San Clemente, but a mini version maybe of that would be pretty fun. But that is again an outdoor space. But they partner with the city of Vista. That's a
Right.
big,
The other municipal facility is Anaheim has, they have a pretty big amphitheater, but I think they work very closely with Disney to subsidize a lot of the usage. They run a kind of a whole summer free concert series
neat.
where it's like, I don't know, it's $2 to get in. But Anaheim does have something as well if we wanted to look at other public spaces. I also, because this is just a lot of information.
I know.
On
Sorry.
top of all
I
that,
could talk all day.
I know.
So you just tell me to be quiet.
Well, I think it's helpful to kind of we'll get some direction here.
There you go.
We
Jane pulled up the Moonlight Theater
thank you.
so we can all pass it around.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've been
okay.
there several times, and they have a summer season, right? And then they do a winter season, but they have a little playhouse that they have that they do the inside stuff during the
Inside,
winter.
okay.
So it would be kind of like partnering up with
Sure,
Burrito, doing
sure.
something with them, and then the city does the summertime. And anyway,
How was this funded?
so we found that out, right? It was.
Yeah.
They got some grants. They also have donors, but I think initially they got a big grant.
That reminds me of Irvine.
It's not as big as like the Irvine that was connected to the fairgrounds. It's not as big as that, but it's really amazing. And it didn't start like that, right? It started small, and then they got the donors, and they grew it, and it's become this great thing down there. I do think they got a grant, and then the city, backed it, and then also there's some private donors. So it was a partnership,
Okay. Okay.
which I think is probably what has to happen. But I don't know if the city even would want. Does the city want it? Like, is it just something that they think would be wonderful to have as part of our community? Have a private donor create it, and they would just approve it, or do they want to partner, or do we even know?
I know originally it was brought on by Councilmember Laura Ferguson that brought it up, and I know that it was brought up to the city that we should do that, and unfortunately she's not here about what her focus was, what kind of people, what area do we serve? I mean, do we serve San Clemente High School students, or do we broaden it to other concerts and other venues like that? So yeah, it's unfortunate she wasn't here to do that, but yeah, we really have to kind of focus on what there's a lot of things to focus on about. First, is it partnering with Cabrillo High School and other entities and try to reel that in. Yeah.
The other thing to think about is a conversation. Is it worth it to have a conversation with the district? Would the district be interested in partnering or some kind of joint use agreement to utilize what is the open space of, the upper campus, basically? Mm-hmm. And I know they have a lot of needs and wants from a sports facility standpoint, but if that's true, very big. That's very big land.
The sports angle and then check on the arts angle, and we might get somewhere.
Right, but is there an opera? And I'm just speaking. I have not spoken to anybody at the district, but maybe there's an opportunity there that the city and the district can work together. That's totally San Clemente serving that area, and that helps. I know that they've tried to pass a bond for that development, and that's beyond me, but is there an angle there that we could look into?
And there's a new superintendent, so it might be something we could discuss with them and the board. Mm-hmm. I know just from my own experiences, like we've had to fundraise for everything.
Sure.
I have no money is ever given to me from the school district.
Right.
I should say, like, we get a little bit from, I work under CCA and so they'll support some of like equipment purchases and things, but really we fundraise to rent that stage and lights and sound. So I don't know but if it was something that, maybe it was something that they would like to.
It might be, we have a joint use agreement in place for Forster Ranch, and that, so the field next to Bernie Sarah, that track field, that's technically district property, but the city maintains it through a joint use, and then we get use of it outside of school hours. We're able to permit it and get field rentals on the weekends and after basically 3 o'clock. So maybe that's an option. Obviously, that was built decades ago in a different world, but another angle to look at.
I know they're desperate for space, even for gym space.
Yep.
All of that.
Sure.
So there's just not enough spaces like right now, as you know.
I know.
So yes, that would probably be a really great conversation to have. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's important to go back to talk about what is the size of the facilities that we need, because we can go here, we can go there. Linda Lane looks a lot different than Upper Campus San Clemente High School. You know what I mean? So
so like for us, we couldn't use Linda Lane. Like what they were considering building there, that just wouldn't work with what we need. But it would be fun for like outdoor little concerts or things like that. But it wouldn't really work for what we do.
Okay.
And maybe there are some other stakeholders that put on productions that we could ask, like Amanda, so the lady that owns the dance studio in Capitol Beach. I know she just rented San Juan Hills High School for her shows, and she had several hundred people that came, and she's like, I really want to be in San Clemente, but I need to go outside to rent a facility. So I think that's a big consideration.
The Krikorian just seems like it's just sitting there.
Waiting
for someone to use it and create something that because we toured it even. We were having some meetings prior to when I think Laura Ferguson mentioned it at the meeting. We were already talking about it with Chris Duncan, because he had just come to the shows, and we took a tour, and Chris was there, right? And then it's huge in there. I mean, there's so much potential. But it obviously takes money.
But it's there.
It's there.
And there's parking.
Parking is there. And
it's a big factor.
Yeah, and there's not tons of parking. But the interesting thing to explore is, the businesses that are there. A lot of them are, maybe business hours versus if you're talking about amphitheater hours, would be different, right?
Yeah, all those doctors' offices, they would mostly be closed. So like that parking could extend out. The restaurants would probably appreciate it because they might get business from it. You know, people eating before a show or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's just a
Perfect
thought.
opportunity for a shuttle from, you know, inland areas.
Yep. Absolutely.
For that, because that's just a perfect opportunity right there.
Even
But,
across the street too, right? If some of those businesses close.
you know, that's a shopping center, not gonna offer.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
I
Trader
won't allow
Joe's
that.
is always so busy.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah.
That's the worst parking lot in San
Yeah, they're not gonna allow
Yeah.
that.
No.
But I think the Krikorian is just a gem that could be utilized.
Yeah, it's almost like sitting there waiting for
Well,
us.
talk to Jim.
So I was on the
Jim
board
Wynn.
of a theater. Sorry, I'm sorry if I.
That's okay.
No,
talking too
you're
much.
the person
I
that
was
knows
on a
theater.
board of a theater down in Oceanside called the
Okay.
Star Theater,
Uh-huh.
and it was an old movie theater that they
Wonderful.
changed into a theater.
Wonderful.
So when I think about the Crick, you know, I call it
Right.
the Crick. It just that's what comes to mind, like
Sure.
the potential in there. It would take money to obviously invest in it and just change the infrastructure and things,
Right.
but it's there and it's just sitting there and there's so much potential.
I think it's for lease. I don't think it's
Yeah,
for
for
sale.
sale, yeah.
But that doesn't mean that couldn't be entertained. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Anita, what do you think about that?
Oh, Amanda.
I'm sorry, Amanda.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, definitely find out what the price point is. I mean, what do they plan for lease? I mean, what is rental space? I
Have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I have no
Yeah.
idea.
That's
Right.
But it's something that it start off small, get funding, get donors, get a foundation going, and then expand to more of an amphitheater type of situation. Because an amphitheater is a big chew,
Right.
big piece of chew.
So we could do like a renovate the Krikorian campaign or something. Let's performing arts venue for maybe something like that to get citizens behind it. Is that what you think?
I think you need to start something small instead of
Correct.
something big, and like an amphitheater off La Plata. That's why these people failed, because they could not find the funding for it.
Sure.
And if you start off small with something indoors like that, get people really interested in performing arts, that type of thing in theater, and then build from there and build your base and then go on to an amphitheater. I just think that's much more feasible than saying, let's just build a big amphitheater for $10 million. Hello, who's going to fund it?
Right.
I think that's a great comment. And, you know, even if that space could be built out, if you're starting a campaign, you don't necessarily need to do that. It's like sell popcorn and, you know, go into one of the larger of the spaces and bring people in and allow them to imagine what could be there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
Always.
Do little concerts, and they're like,
Yeah.
this could be amazing if if we had the right backing or
So I think that's the key. I really do. I mean, we all started off with this grandiose idea of an amphitheater in Linda Lane or, you know, La Plata. It's just not going to work. I don't think. Quite
I think it would be
frankly.
hard to maybe get the residents to agree, right? That's what I've heard in our previous meetings. Everyone was very concerned about the neighbors.
Has
That
there-
just
Yeah, sorry.
no,
Well-
go ahead.
I was just going to ask, has there been previous meetings? Because I thought this was the first, so that's
No,
why-
it
Was that
wasn't. It
Tim?
wasn't. It wasn't this committee. It wasn't. It was before the new. Sorry, it was before the new city council was elected. We had
Okay.
a few meetings
Okay.
after Chris had come to our shows. Right? Am I saying this right?
Yeah.
It wasn't even official. I don't.
Yeah, it was
know.
an unofficial. Like,
Yeah.
I was a drama parent. She was the drama director, and then some of the council members had come to the show, so we had, just started to
Yeah.
brainstorm.
Like,
So
come
there were,
see.
there were no official meetings, but
You're just like,
yeah.
No, sorry about
Did I
that.
miss out?
I'm sorry if that was
No, it's
confusing.
okay.
That's my fault.
just brainstorming.
Yeah.
So it sounds
Grassroots.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds like the consensus is it would be best to look at Krikorian because there's walls there already, and a lot of the things that are important like parking and that the the area, the geographical location that maybe ticks a lot of the boxes. Susie,
Is there soundproofing though too, right?
I would think so with a
So
theater.
that's already built
Yeah.
in there. So that's
yeah.
A lot of the
big-
infrastructure
Right,
is there.
exactly.
It's there right now.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
concessions, obviously, they must have a kitchen already set up.
Right, exactly.
If you're going to do concessions and all of that.
Yes.
Susie, you know Jim, obviously. Is
yeah.
that something that, and Wayne, if you and Susie want to work with Jim on getting information,
Sure.
that could be something we do from this committee meeting. That's a kind of an assignment, if you will.
Yeah, let's
Some
do
homework.
that.
Let's do it. I'll
Yeah.
put you in charge and I'll be your backup one.
Oh, thank you. I want donuts.
I'll bring cookies. Oh, not cookies? He likes donuts better. How about cinnamon rolls? Because I'm really good
Oh
at
my
those.
god.
Oh, yeah.
So next
Cinnamon
committee
rolls.
meeting, I can
Oh,
bring cinnamon
yeah,
rolls.
Oh, I'm more interested now.
That's my
Real-
specialty.
It's
Really.
a real deal.
Would
I think that's the first assignment, is really do something like that.
cinnamon rolls or
No. Oh.
Okay, both. I agree. Now because this is it's a formal committee, but we're kind of just also just trying to get direction. Would we want to have a meeting at the Krikorian? Is that
Yes.
something that Jim would be able to schedule?
Yes, Jim can.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I
That
think
would be.
if
Perfect.
If he thinks that this idea could be feasible,
Okay.
I know. Again, he has the lease.
Sure.
Or he's responsible for finding someone to lease it. Yeah, he's got the keys.
So why
that's
don't between
great.
the two of you communicate with Jim and
Yeah.
find out, get some basics, but then see if he would be able to open the doors to the committee to walk through the space, and that could be kind of our next meeting, I guess.
Absolutely.
Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Right.
Any
Maybe.
other thoughts?
Well, these things always take different routes, you know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Sure. You have so
What we're
much
doing,
experience.
you know.
I'm just here to, I don't really know
Yeah.
why.
I think anyone that we can think of, and maybe it's just this. I don't know how this is my first committee I've ever been on.
Me too. That's what I was saying. I don't know.
And I don't know how
Same here.
Okay, so I don't know how that works, but if there are other people who are stakeholders or have more knowledge that we feel like should come and give us information.
Totally.
How does that work? Like, I know the lady from the dance studio, Amanda. She's retired from American Ballet Theater. She's connected all over the world, and she's, I can bring artists in, guest artists and things too. So I feel like somebody like that, somebody like Kirsty, who have experience and vision for what theater should be. That's not me. But how does that work if we want to invite those people to maybe bring suggestions or ideas as we go through the planning?
It just would take kind of the majority of this committee to say, yeah, we want to hear more from that person.
Oh, okay.
I would be fine with that. I think those are kind of, they're always welcome to come to this meeting, and they can fill out a card and they can have 3 minutes to kind of give their spiel. But if they feel like, if this committee feels like, yes, we want to hear more from her because she has more insight into what performing arts could provide from ballet and dance, we could do a
She was
special
very
presentation,
valuable.
and she could take 10 minutes to kind of run down what her vision might be. Kind of public.
Could we,
input.
I know she was with us when we walked through it. Could she come to the walkthrough of the
Absolutely.
That'd be okay to invite her to
And
that?
then I don't know if you would know more people than me. She's the only person that I know that has that level of background. But if there's anyone else that you know, or either of you know, that
I mean, I've danced with Hula Lani Ola up in Laguna Hills, and since COVID, I haven't touched base with Punani Jung, but that's hula dancing, and with hula dancing, when I performed with Kumakani down in San Diego County, we really don't need that much space.
Sure.
I mean, it's just a small area that you need. But I could reach out to them, but just in case, yeah.
Sure,
If they have
that'd be
any
so neat.
suggestions or ideas or whatnot. So.
Also, the Casa Harmonica is not going to have an opportunity
That's
for
true.
some time to have the type of where they have that little small amphitheater
have
there.
that.
So I could chat with. I'm going to go to a function there tomorrow night and chat with them to see if they want to become involved initially, because they're going to be closed for a while as far as their type of performance that they have. So, you know. we'll see
Do you
what-
think I should reach out to Michael Lopez from the Cabrillo, or
Why not? Just see
Yeah,
what.
to
Just see what.
his?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll
Just
have
see
him
what.
do that.
Yeah. Just see what his. But they are protective.
Well, that's what I say. He's not going to want it to compete or anything with that,
Right.
you know.
Right. Yeah.
But it would. I just so maybe I can just talk to him about it and see what
Sure.
his thoughts.
Yeah.
They have 66 seats there.
It's so
and
small. It's so tiny.
I think the need is much greater.
Yes,
than
it is.
66
It would be a
seats.
different type
so
of-
like a different type of experience that wouldn't compete with. There's no way you can compete with the charm of the Cabrillo.
No, I love this. Is
Right.
so wonderful.
Claustrophobic.
It is, and it's old, but it's special.
It has
It's
an
special. It has
amazing
some-
character to it.
Yeah,
It
it's very
does. It
special.
does.
It
It's
really
tradition.
does, yeah. But I know that they it seems like they do need to do some work within the
Yeah.
facility too. So, other thoughts?
Well, just one little thought was that,
Yeah.
as far as I know, that's from the school perspective. Like the band and orchestra would love a space
Okay.
to perform at. The choir would love a
Okay.
place to because they're fighting for gym space. Like they now have to do their Christmas concert in the gym, but yet that's being used by the sports team. So you know,
Mhm.
so I know there's need from different groups. The dance team uses the gym to do their thing, but they would use a space like
So
that.
it sounds
you
like
know?
we maybe also need to compile a list of any type of arts that might want to use this space, because that's going to kind of play into how the space is built.
Mhm.
Is that something somebody wants to take on, a kind of a comprehensive pie in the sky list of all the things that could happen?
I know from the high school perspective, I could contact those teachers
Okay.
easily and just ask if they would be interested if a
Great.
space ever existed.
Yeah, and they
A
don't need to-
theoretical space.
Yeah, they
You know.
don't need to do anything now, but that could be something that every committee member works on. If you guys, just based on your network and your connections, why don't we prepare a list to bring back individually at our next meeting to talk about, these are the groups that might be interested. Or even if it's not a specific group, it could be a genre or some type of arts that might be interested in. Any of that would be great.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we have the projector rooms and everything there. Maybe there's so much space. I think there's
Mhm.
4 or 5 theaters
Mhm.
inside there.
Yeah.
We were
I
thinking
think-
about knocking out a wall between
Yeah.
two of the big ones to make a big stage.
Sure.
And it would take a lot of work to make it a functional theater, but like you said, the walls are there and the
Mhm.
parking lot is there.
Those walls aren't thick, by the way.
They're not.
No.
We can have a good demo day.
Hey, we can get one of those shows to come out.
That's right. Wouldn't it be fun if there was a performing arts show that would, or like someone supporting the arts and said,
We
"What
can,
is that? Soup makeover,
yeah,
performing arts makeover."
pitch it to HGTV
That's right.
that they could come out and make over our old theater. Why not?
That'd be popular.
It would be so
I think people would
popular.
watch it.
People would completely watch it. It would be like a new show for them. Let's do it.
Let's do it. See,
I
why
think
not?
this is all fun.
I know it is. No, it is.
Yeah, definitely. I was
Just
thinking
think.
about the movies with, Mickey Rooney and let's put on a show.
Yeah, let's put on a
I'm dating myself, sorry.
Yeah, you sure are.
I do miss the crick. I loved going to the
I
crick
know.
chorus
There's
and
something-
clapping along with their
Yeah.
song. And,
Yeah, and
Oh.
I see. You missed that at the new theater.
You do. I miss it.
You always clapped.
Always.
With the Kukurian song.
Yeah.
Always. I
and
miss
we
it. I
need
do.
Yeah.
a way to bring back the club, and that
That's
could be,
right.
That could be part of our campaign.
That's
to get people
true.
to come and explore what it could
Yeah.
be.
We do applause at the theater.
And-
Dun, 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 dun.
That was
Yeah.
always fun. I mean, people didn't realize. People who didn't know that was going to happen went, "Are they nuts?" Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Well, we always used to clap, stand up and clap, and
It was the best.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jane, just so you know, the
Yeah.
Party Theater, you know how they have like an introduction song?
Yes.
It was that.
It was that. Did you like my
And
rendition?
it was
Yeah, that's supposed to be good.
everyone when the introduction song would come on before every movie, everyone in the seats would clap. So
At a certain at a certain
Yes,
time.
certain
Yeah.
but don't you think that's the one thing that could connect everyone?
Everyone
That's
can
right.
connect everyone
to,
there.
to want to bring back
Mhm.
back the crick.
Uh-huh.
or whatever the thing is.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be really cool if Corey could give us their song.
If they would let us do that somehow.
Yeah.
They still have the Krikorian still up in a couple different locations. Like they have one up in like Downey area, I
Oh,
think.
do they?
I think they have a couple of locations.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if they would give us permission to use it as a.
Of course they could. Of course they would. I think it'd be a cool thing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How fun. What a fun committee. Okay. So let's just make sure we all understand our
Sure.
tasks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm gonna make a list.
So I have each of you kind of compiling your own lists of uses of the space. What groups might be willing to use it? I think coupled with which groups might be interested in supporting funding of it too.
Okay.
Yes.
What groups?
And then I have Wayne and Susie are going to work on getting some time there with Jim, maybe to open up the doors for us.
I'll call Jim tomorrow and start that.
That would be great. That might dictate when our next meeting is.
Yes.
Anything else on this item before we move into the meeting schedule?
No, but this
Invite
is
Amanda?
off the record,
Uh-huh.
Jay. This is off the record.
I mean, it's during
But
a
what?
public meeting.
Huh?
Just saying.
Never
It's a
off the
public
record.
This is off the record. But another use, of course, could be a drag show, right?
There you go.
No.
I see why you said that.
Can you imagine some people scream in this town?
Oh, yes.
They would go totally nuts.
So we will jump. So future meeting schedule. Again, this is kind of based on what Jim might give us on dates and times.
Yeah.
But as we're scheduling, is there days and times that work better for the group? Is this a good time? Mondays at 3? Does it generally work for you guys? I know you're going to head back to school
Yeah, so
soon.
once school starts, my hours are, I usually work from about 2:30 to 8. So
Okay.
I feel like with those.
Okay.
So during the day would be better for me, but I also know you all have jobs
Okay.
and things. So that's just tricky.
Okay.
I am fine.
Like a lunch meeting?
A lunch or right after lunch.
Okay.
Ooh, lunch.
That's always best for me. Like
Okay.
I like to have mornings, but like when you go back to school, could you possibly attend a meeting and then go from a meeting?
Oh yeah,
to,
so I could do from,
like a 12 or a 1
I'm
o'clock.
free from like 8 a.m. till 2:30. Like
Okay.
I could do any time between 8 a.m.
Okay.
But like a lunch time would be great. Like anytime between 12 and 2:30, and I could just zip over to the high school.
Okay. Okay, so
The only days where it could sometimes be council meetings, I like to attend those.
Sure.
That's, yeah, they're
yeah,
always at
Tuesdays
5
are challenging.
5 p.m.-ish.
Challenging for you too.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
challenging for me
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
So if we can avoid Tuesdays, that would be nice.
Any
Um,
days fine.
Okay. All right. So any day but Tuesday, and then somewhere between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. somewhere around
8
there.
a.m.
Well, how between 10 and 2?
10 and 2.
10 and 2. We'll be alert.
I'm elderly.
So at the chamber, we do
Yeah.
have board
I don't know if this is-
meetings.
oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I don't know if this is my
I'm
place to say, but what about 1 to 2? That seems like that would work for everyone.
That seems like it is.
Yeah,
It's
great.
working.
Sorry for
It's
interrupting.
a good
Yeah.
time frame. We needed that direction. Yes, thank you. We're spiraling.
Good public comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Noted.
1 to 2.
1 to 2 meeting. 1 to 2 p.m.
And
After
then
the curriculum is our next.
Okay.
Sometimes Mondays are tricky because we have board meetings once a month.
Okay.
And they're not always the same Monday. But so maybe Wednesdays. Would be
Wednesdays.
better.
Okay.
Wednesdays.
Wednesdays,
Possibly
1
better.
to 2 work for me.
Okay.
After that does not. Or before that.
Okay.
That's a sweet spot. 1 to 2.
1
There
to
it is.
2. On a
I can do
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
And
Thursday,
bring
Friday.
cinnamon buns for.
Right. Wayne.
I'll bring some.
And
I promise
donuts.
next meeting.
First order of business.
I'll bring you guys one, and you can. I'll put it in a little container. Susie knows, and you can bring it home and eat it whenever you want.
They're
Not to be shared.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're fun. I like these.
Okay, so Susie and Wayne, why don't you
Yes.
let me know the dates that Jim has
Will do.
available
I'll
based on
call
that,
Jim tomorrow.
and then I will circulate it to the committee.
Okay.
Okay, we have no oral communications, and then hearing nothing else, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I second. The
Who's
motion.
motioning?
I'll move to adjourn.
Oh,
Okay,
I will second
and second by
that.
Susie. Okay, we are adjourned at 3:54.